Welcome to the Teapot Reads. My name's Sam. I'm the Teapot. This is what I'm currently reading, and since you can't tell since it's in a book sleeve, it's Crescent City Book 2. And welcome to my channel. It is so nice to see you. Hello, hello. It is time for my winter wrap-up. If you are new here and you've never seen one of my wrap-ups before, first of all, welcome. Hi, welcome to the wrap-up. I really enjoy doing these. Second of all, I do seasonal wrap-ups. I don't read a lot of books every month. It just doesn't really happen. And so it's more interesting to do seasonal wrap-ups. So this is everything from December, January, and February. And yeah, I actually read 9 books, which is quite a bit. Nine books. That's a lot for me. That is 3 books a month, which actually aligns with one of my goals, which I'm going to talk about in a moment. But before I get into that, I won't be talking about any of the manga that I read this season. I did a manga wrap-up that'll be posting first, so you'll definitely be seeing that. I also don't really do TBRs. I don't stick to them when I do it, and I have just had a lot more fun reading without a TBR. There might come a point where I feel like I need a TBR again, and at that point I will instate one, but right now it has just been really nice not to have a TBR that I feel like I need to stick to. So, a couple goals, since this is the first wrap-up of the year and already covers 2 months of the year, which I am filming this near the end of February. It's not quite the end of February. I'll talk about that in a moment. But a couple goals going into the new year. Number 1, I've kind of started this year with the idea that I could read 1 book every 10 days. And so far, I have managed that. Obviously pretty perfectly because I got 3 books every month. And there's about 30 days per month. I'm actually a little bit ahead of the game because I did finish quite a bit of manga as well. But it's been so fulfilling to actually be finishing books regularly. I'm not going to punish myself or feel disappointed in myself necessarily if I don't stick to the 10 days per book. I mean, the book I'm reading right now is huge. It's nearly 1,000 pages long. Reading 100 pages is a lot for me every day. I read about a page per minute in like this book. Some's a little easier. Some, like if I were to read a book like Anna Karenina again, would take me a lot longer. So I'm not going to punish myself in any way for not sticking to this goal. It's just sort of a goal that I have in my head, and it's been nice to sort of stick to that. What I have been doing, and I can show you, I've been using little tabs to sort of mark where I want to be. So like if I hit one of the tabs, I know, hey, I just hit a reading goal. So see a little tab down there. And it's just been a nice little reward system. Very tiny, but it's been getting me motivated. It's been making me sit down to read, not forcing me to read for any certain amount of time, but making me sit down and read and letting myself just enjoy books again. And I really have been enjoying books a lot more this year than I was last year. I don't know if it's this goal or if it's just because I've been letting myself enjoy them again and not stress out about not getting everything done. But so far it's been really healthy reading. Just because I'm reading 1 book every 10 days does not mean I'm getting rid of the quality over quantity goal that I carried with me all of last year. That is still very important to me. Quality over quantity. I am giving myself permission to DNF books. I've already DNF'd books. It was technically last year, I think, but I DNF'd a book. I moved on from it. It happens. It's gotta happen in order to stay a healthy reader. If I'm reading something I'm not enjoying, I have to move on. Sometimes that means getting rid of the book forever. Sometimes it just means getting rid of it for now. That being said, I will hopefully be finishing the Bridgerton books this year. I hate those books, but I really, really want to finish them, get them over with, and talk about them with you. There's so much I have to say about these damn books. So quality over quantity, but I also give myself permission to read crap if it is for a greater good. One of my other major goals that I carried through me last year, and especially I'm carrying into this year, is to read diversely. I'm trying to buy diversely and I'm trying to read diversely. Reading consciously and expanding myself and my shelf consciously are very important to me. I read a lot of white straight authors, and if I'm not reading white straight authors, it's probably white queer authors. So it's a little, but not much. I really, really know that I will grow as a writer, as a reader, and as a person if I expand what I am reading and look beyond what I am comfortable with typically. Not to say that I'm not going to be reading white straight authors, and I have a lot of favorite authors and nostalgic reads that are from white straight authors, you know, but I really just want to continue expanding. And I talk about in one of the vlogs, I don't know if it's been posted yet because I'm not actually sure which vlog I talk about it in, but my goal has kind of been to read every other book intentionally, diversely. This obviously is not something I'm going to 100% be able to stick to, but by keeping it at the every other book intentionally diverse, I think I have a better shot at getting to my end goal by the end of the year, reading regularly 50% diversely. Last wrap up, I talked about how I completely failed in reading diversely. Like, it just did not happen in autumn of 2021. So I was really disappointed in myself, and I set myself the goal of reading 25% diversely. And I not only met that goal, but I exceeded it. I hit 44% of diverse reads, some of them intentionally diverse, and some of them I just happened to want to read them and they were diverse, which is what happens when you buy diversely on your shelves, or at least happens for me. If it's on the shelf and I see it, I'm probably like, ooh, shiny object, I want to read that. So I'm really pleased and really happy with myself and with that stat. Obviously not great, still kind of a baby step, but it's getting in the right direction and I'm so proud of and pleased with myself. My goal for the next season is going to be to either meet that percentage or get above it. I wouldn't be like super upset if I hit like within like 5% like lower, like if I got like 39, 40%, I wouldn't feel terrible, but ideally I want to stick to that 44 because like I said, I want to hit 50% reading diversely by the end of the year, and I want to do that regularly. Going into spring, I also have the goal of reading outside. Yes, it's still end of February, and yes, we are expecting quite a bit of snow tonight, but it has had so many warm days. A large part of this is definitely global warming, but part of it is just the seasons changing. I live in the Chicago area, so there will probably be snow through March, possibly and likely even into April. I'm okay with that because there will be springy days in between, and I'm going to try to take advantage of those days and read outside, even if just for a little bit. If I have to wear mittens, it's too cold for me to read outside, but if I don't have to wear mittens, I'm really going to try to aim for it. This is something that is really going to be a goal in summer, but for now, let's stick to springtime goals. Just every once in a while and when I can. And my final goal is to read middle grade. This was a goal I had going into winter, but I didn't really manage it. But I am still feeling really nostalgic and I really want middle grade magic books. I have so many recently that I have picked up that I want to love and sit down and love and feel those warm, cozy little kid vibes that I used to feel when I would get a book from the library and just run around pretending I was in that book for hours afterwards. I really want to capture that again, and I think middle grade is the way to go. I want cozy, I want happy. Yes, I really think I'm going to probably read Anne of Green Gables either this season or next season. I've been wanting to read this for a while, and it's close approaching actually reading it. I know for a fact it is close approaching. But there are quite a few other middle grade books that I hope to read and that I have on my shelf that I would just love to turn to this season. This is probably the loosest of the goals because if I don't get it to any middle grade, again, not really going to be disappointed. It'll probably just continue to be a goal until I start reading middle grade regularly again. So some quick stats. I like doing stats. Total, like I said, I read 9 books, 44% of which were diverse in one way or another. And for the record, diverse just means not a white straight person for me. I will probably change that at some point to be any person of color. But right now I'm considering queer white people as diverse reads because I think it is important, and reading queer is really important to me as a person. But I could definitely see myself in the future doing like percentage of queer writers stat versus percentage of people of color writing stat. So something like that. But right now, 44% across the board. I am really happy with that. I'm very proud of myself for not failing this season. I'm so proud of myself. Of the 9 books, 2 were rereads, 1 was a graphic novel, 1 was a 5-star read, and 1 was a YA. Not a goal this month, but there's so much good YA coming out right now that I think this next season I will probably read a lot of YA. Also, I forgot how quick YA is to read, so that was kind of nice to be reminded of that. While I was reading, I was like, yes, I can just devour this book. It was a really nice feeling. So, what were the books? First of all, I read A Marvelous Light by Freya Marski. This is an ARC, but I actually didn't read it until after it came out. I have a couple copies of it now. I did really enjoy this book. I gave it 4.5 stars, if I remember correctly. I will put star ratings somewhere on the screen as well, just in case I'm wrong when I say what the star rating is. But I'm pretty sure I gave it 4.5 stars. I'm not going to talk a lot about it because I do have a whole reading vlog up that just posted, so go check it out. Basically, during Victorian? No, it's Edwardian. Edwardian England, we have Edwin and we have Robin. Oh my god, I couldn't remember his name for a minute. We have Edwin and we have Robin. Edwin is part of the magical sort of secret society, and Robin is new to it. He's sort of accidentally been given a job in this society, and the two have to team up to figure out what happened to the person who had Robin's job before him. The way I've been elevator pitching this to potential interested parties is if Lev Grossman wrote... No. Reverse that. If TJ Klune wrote Lev Grossman's series The Magicians and set it during Edwardian times. That's very much the vibes I get from this. Loved this book. A lot of fun. The ending was just a little bit disappointing. But like I said, if you want to know more, go check out my reading blog for that. I also, my two rereads, they were Royal Assassin and Assassin's Quest, both by Robin Hobb. I reread those, and Buddy read them with someone who's reading them for the first time. The Farseer trilogy is one of my favorite trilogies of all time, so it was a real pleasure to return to it. I had a lot of fun reading it. It was great. And one of my goals for the year, and it's probably going to take me about 2 years to do it completely, is to finish up all of Robin Hobb's books. So yes, Farseer, it is out of the way. I loved it. It was great. It's probably, this isn't going to happen on purpose, but I have a feeling it's going to end up being like one series per season. I just have a feeling that's how it's going to end up laying out. Then I read Oxy by Mari Ahakoivu. I'm sorry, I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong. I did try to look it up and I wasn't really finding anything. This is the graphic novel and the only 5-star read I read. It is really interesting, kind of weird, very dark. It is about this bear cub that's not really a bear cub. Her name is Porling. She's actually this sort of weird fire thing. This is Porling. And she's adopted by this mother bear and her cubs, and Porling is realizing she's not a bear, and the mother bear is also like the daughter of the sky goddess. It is really interesting, really dark though. I did not know what I was getting into when I read this, and the ending is so interesting. I loved the ending. It was so perfect. This is, I believe, a Scandinavian, okay, it's a Finnish folktale that's been adapted, and yeah, fantastic. If you get a chance to pick this up, I do recommend it. I'm so happy to have it on my shelf. It's just really good. I can't really talk too much about it without risking giving away a lot of it, but I did. I loved this, and I loved the way that like magic is sort of depicted. It's like in song, and it's yellow. The way colors work are just really cool. And then like we got pages like that. Lovely, lovely book. Great story. I'm not gonna say lovely story. Great story though. Then we have the most disappointing book I read, which was To Paradise. This is Hani Yanagihara's new book. I am not going to talk a lot about this. I have a vlog. I have a lot to say. In the vlog, I didn't like the book. It was bad. I feel very secure in saying it was a bad book. I think I gave it 3 stars. There were parts I liked. The writing was gorgeous, but I just hated this book. Then I read another somewhat disappointing book that was Deal with the Elf King by Elise Kova. I really liked Air Awakens when I read it a long time ago, so I thought Deal with the Elf King might hopefully be good. I feel like constraining this to one novel and being like it has to be one novel was a really bad idea because the characters and the story really weren't allowed to grow. I didn't believe the connection between the characters for a new adult fantasy romance story. The romance did nothing for me. Absolutely nothing. There were interesting ideas, some interesting characters, some interesting scenes, but in general did very little for me. I think I gave this one 3 stars as well. It was just so bland and blah, and I expected more based on how much I loved Air Awakens. Not enough to turn me off from reading her books or more books in this series. I do have book 2 and I will check it out because maybe book 2 will vibe with me, but book 1 did not vibe with me. It is about, I don't even remember, Luella. Luella, she ends up being the human queen, which is this old thing that's always happened. Every 100 years there's a new human queen, and she has to cross into the fairy world and marry the elf king. And she does so, but she kind of knows she's going to be the last human queen because magic is just dying. It's not really holding up the way it used to, so she's going to be the last either way. So she strikes a deal with the elf king to sort of let her seek out a way to fix the problem so there doesn't have to be a human queen and the worlds can still be at peace and still heal and still be healthy. And he says, fine, it's an enemies to lovers story, which was stupid. I didn't think it had to be. There would have been enough tension without that. And it just kind of made him seem like randomly an asshole, and her also randomly an asshole at just like random moments. Did not work for me. Do not recommend. Not enough to like hate it, but like not that good. Then, and I have a vlog for these as well, I read 2 Murakami books. I read Norwegian Wood and I read Colorless Sakura Tozaki. I loved them both for very different reasons. I gave them both 4 stars. I think about this one more, but in some ways I was able to connect with the characters in this one more. So yeah, I kind of love them a lot for very, very different reasons. Again, not going to talk about them too much because I have a whole vlog coming out about them, and I do plan on doing a full review for Norwegian Wood. So basically, Norwegian Wood is set during the 60s, I think, and Toru Watanabe is sort of torn between 2 women, a girl from his past who is very mentally ill, and a girl from his present and possibly future who is kind of crazy and very free and liberated, and I loved her. Midori was the best part of this book, hands down. And then we have Colorless Sakura Tozaki, and about 20 years, I think it's actually 16, but we'll say about 20 years before this novel starts, Colorless, or Sakura Tozaki had 4 really good friends, and something happened and they exiled him from the group. Like, these were his best friends. They're basically his entire world, and they're like, we're not talking to you anymore. And he never understood why. He meets a woman named Sarah who's kind of like, I would love to be in a relationship with you, but something seems off. He seems still like there's something wrong. You should investigate what happened and try to clear up all that emotional trauma, which obviously is kind of impossible to just do, like just clear it up on command. But he goes on sort of a quest, a pilgrimage, might we say. The full title is Colorless Sakura Tozaki and His Years of Pilgrimage, after all. But he goes on a pilgrimage of sorts and talks to his friends, or 3 of them because one of them has since died. And it's really interesting. I really did enjoy this, and I really could connect with Sakura more than I could with Toru, but I think I'm going to, Norwegian Wood is going to stick with me a lot longer than this one will. I can already tell you that. There's a reason this one's getting a review. And speaking of books with review, the final book that I have managed to finish is Gallant by V.E. Schwab. I have an ARC. I am so lucky. I really enjoyed this book. I gave it 4 or 4.5 stars. I'm not 100% sure. The beginning was sort of slow and it took a little bit to get to its feet, but once it did, it was fantastic. I could not put this book down, and it also has art. It's very, very cool book. The aesthetic on point. But I am doing a full review, and my plan, my intention, my great intention is to get the review up before the book comes out. So hopefully I managed to do that, and possibly I'll get the review up before this video posts. Probably not, but it's possible. But yeah, Gallant. It was great. I didn't like the other YA books I've read by V.E. Schwab, which was The Archived and The Unbound, but I did really enjoy this. It does read a little younger on the YA side. I will say that as well. Oh, and just a quick elevator pitch. It's sort of The Secret Garden if it has a haunted house. That's what I've been saying. I know she pitches as that Secret Garden meets Crimson Peak. I've never seen Crimson Peak, so I don't know. But Secret Garden with a haunted house. And then I don't know if I'm going to finish it, but hopefully I will. House of Sky and Breath is what I'm currently reading. This is a chonker. This is literally the only book sleeve I could fit it in, and since I'll be traveling like to and from work with it, I really wanted it in a sleeve. But yeah, we'll see. The last Sarah J. Maas book I read totally burned me. There will be a vlog for this as well. Probably not a review, and I probably won't go into spoilers, but there will be a vlog for this book if you're curious. Alright, and I know I don't typically do TBRs, but there are a couple books that are coming out, and a couple books that I really, really want to read, so I'm going to talk about those real quick. I don't know what order I'll read these in, and especially the ones coming out. Watch me not even read any of them this season. But the books that I want to read, like I said, I'm reading all of Robin Hobb's books, so I want to read at least Ship of Magic, but ideally the entire Live Ship Traders trilogy. Probably March, April, this is going to take a big chunk out of. I'm really excited. These are thick books. I have read Ship of Magic, so this will technically be a reread, but I don't remember very much except Kennet. I loved Kennet. So I'm really excited to return to these and read the rest of the series and complete it, because I know some people consider this the best of her series. So that's kind of high praise, especially because she's one of my favorite authors. And then for books coming out, I think this is dropping in March, the Atlas 6. I have a copy actually of the original self-published edition. I would like to read it either before or after the new editions come out. I have bought a couple collector's editions because I couldn't resist, but I feel like I'm going to have to read my original edition of this book. I feel like that's what it deserves. The Atlas 6, that's by Olivia Blake, and that comes out in March, I believe. Then in May, there's a couple books coming out. There's Bravely, the new Maggie Stiefvater book that is a sequel to Brave, the Disney movie. I'm actually surprisingly excited for this. I've never been excited for an IP book before, but this one, it's a Maggie book. I'm stoked. I'll probably rewatch Brave going into it as well and try to forget how much I disliked it the first time. And then we have The Golden Swift by Lev Grossman. This is a sequel to one of my favorite books, which I'm totally blanking on the title, Silver Arrow. Silver Arrow is so good. It is a book about trains, magic trains, and saving the environment and preserving animals. And it's so good. So I'm very, very, very excited for The Golden Swift. I can't wait to see more of this world. I'll actually probably pick this up as an audiobook because I listened to the first one as an audiobook and it was grandastic. I was gonna say great and fantastic. It's grandastic, guys. And finally, Twin Crowns is also coming out in May. I don't know why, but this book has kind of wiggled under my skin and I really want to read it. I think it's about two princesses, one of them raised by a rebel group, the other one raised in the castle, and one of them is trying to take out the other one and take down the monarchy. And there's one of them has magic, but the other doesn't, I think. Anyway, it sounds really interesting. It sounds really good. It's very much the kind of book I just would have been a sucker for in high school, so it definitely gets me there. But that's it. Those are like my TBR books for the next couple months, and I will see you guys with another wrap up at the end of May. Hopefully we all hit our goals and read great books this season. I'm excited. I always get excited at the beginning of spring and then at the end of spring, but the middle of spring is sometimes kind of dreary. April showers and all that, but I'm really going to try to take advantage of the changing of the seasons and just enjoying what the springtime brings with it. If you like this content and want to see more like it, please consider subscribing. I would really appreciate it. It would mean the world to me. And if you are already subscribed, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. It means so much to me to know that you are out there listening and caring about what I have to say. You literally, you do not know what it means to me. I wish I could express it better. If you are somewhere cold, I hope you're staying warm. If you're somewhere warm, I hope you're staying comfortable. And most of all, I hope you're reading a great book. I will see you guys next time. Bye!